Hamilton of Audible Elegance here in Cincinnati, Ohio. We're located on Montgomery Road, a few doors north of the inn. We have a website, audibleelegance.com. It's a living, breathing site. Please take a look at it. There's some unique features in it that are constantly changing. We work on Instagram, X, and Facebook, so there's information there. I write a monthly blog. I had some interesting comments lately on an older video where we questioned in the title streaming. And what we were looking at was the quality of music reproduction between vinyl, and we're talking about a reissue, the original album, and streaming. Please do look at that article, okay? Because it's not a crap on streaming. It's trying to point out that the quality that you get to hear on streaming is what they put on the streaming. So in that case, you get to select the music, but you don't get to select the quality of that music. And as I also pointed out, a reissue for which I spent $30 was a total piece of crap, and the streaming buried it. The original pressing, however, was best. But another question came along, which was, well, where does CD fit into all of this? Well, that gets to be an interesting subject because it depends upon, particularly with older recordings, what tape did they use to create the CD? And as I mentioned in other videos, some manufacturers were using 6th, 7th, and 8th generation tapes to produce the CDs. And when they were confronted about the poor quality that was coming out of it, they basically dismissed it as, we don't think anybody got hurt. Of course, this is when CDs were $20 a pop, okay? So a lot of these bad CDs made with poor source material, ultimately, are still lurking about out there. I can't change that. So they're kind of worse than a repressing of vinyl, I guess, or could be, or they might be better. But, and a lot of the more recent recordings, well, they're all digital, all the way through, okay? The old analog, reel-to-reels and all that stuff, that hasn't been used for years. So now we're talking about the potential for the disc being capable of reproducing at a level of vinyl, and in some cases, perhaps better. And the question then becomes the quality of the player, like a turntable, used to play that format. Certainly, you have to be careful about what vintage and stuff. We did a video on what happened in the early days of digital recordings, the difference between the Sony Dash system and what was available from yet another manufacturer, which was greatly superior, and that was Mitsubishi. So, so even though they were digitally recorded and would inherently seemingly have an advantage, well, the quality of the digital recorder really was the issue. Digital recorders have gotten much better, no question about it. A lot was learned. And a lot was learned in how to record using digital systems, because there was a learning curve about that too. There's not much discussion about it, but that went on. So CD fits into that whole picture, quality of the CD player being important, but the vintage of the CD itself ultimately controls the results. I can't speak for some of the early works that were poorly done, and whether if they reissued them, whether they actually used a better source to make them or not. I kind of doubt it. Knowing record industry and profit, your desire for perfection is only matched by their desire for profit, is the only way of describing it.